The party's about to start. Ready for some fun?
Today's video is going to be all about foam stars. Now, when this came out, at least I should say when it was announced some time ago, the first thing I thought, and I'm sure many others thought as well, is, wow, this is just Splatoon for PlayStation. And it pretty much is. There are some slight deviations. You'll see some of that in the gameplay here in a moment. But the gist of this is it is a 4 versus 4 foam war. Now, the whole mood of this game is definitely meant to be very quirky and upbeat and light. The opening tutorial is basically this insanely overboard voice acting guy explaining all the buttons to you and how to play. He takes great care to explain that when you defeat somebody in this game, it's not a kill, because this isn't a standard shooter. When you defeat somebody in this game, it's called a chill, because the idea is you're cooling people down because they got so hot. He also says to make sure to have fun with this game and to understand that there is, there's no room for being negative. So definitely advertising to people like, hey, listen, like, this is not a sweaty Call of Duty or Counter-Strike type experience. The idea with this game is to just relax and have fun. And I've got to say, from the perspective of like a technical level, it really hits it. I mean, it does. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous game. It looks amazing on a high definition display. It's locked at a 60 frame per second experience. The physics effects in terms of like the blobs when you hit the foam and how it builds up and how your foam kind of counteracts enemy foam and all of that stuff works very well. The character's design is fun. The music is fun. It's a very whimsical experience. However, and this is where I kind of caveat it with personally, if you've already played Splatoon as much as I have, then you're probably not going to find as much value out of this, because a lot of this is going to be new to many people who don't own a Switch, who have not played Splatoon. So the idea of shooting wads of foam on each other, or paint, I mean, really it's the same thing, a gunks of sorts, right? In a competitive scene, trying to play various game modes. The only one available right now is basically chill a bunch of other players, and then a random player will become a star player. And once you chill the star player, who has like 3 times the normal health pool, you win. But I know they're going to add more stuff. You could already see some of the other game modes. I think there's like 8 or 9 game modes that they're working on. But if you've done all that, is my point. If you've done all that, then on Splatoon, then this game's going to have very limited value for you. And that's kind of where I'm at. I have played a game like this already, so I don't think I need to play it again. But if you haven't, I think you're going to enjoy it. It runs really well, and it is very fun, and it's very different. So I got to give credit to Square Enix for actually coming up with something like this, because, you know, this is just very out there. There's different characters. They all have different weapons that perform the same idea of, you know, obviously chilling other players, but you have characters that shoot steady streams of smaller foam. You have characters who do more of like a bazooka, where it's like one giant blast of foam, and then you have characters that do stuff in between. They all have different personalities. They all talk quite a bit when they're performing their moves. They look different, so you'll be able to find something that matches your specific personality, or whatever the role of the team needs to be as you're kind of queuing up together. You're going to get a couple different abilities. You're going to have the abilities are usually offensive, but they could be defensive based as well, that just do something to create, you know, a massive amount of foam. And then you're going to get a super ability, which does take time to charge up, which will, you know, kind of turn the tide of battle, either invincibility bubble or a massive, like, quarter of the map amount of foam, or some kind of, like, super ability that really changes the course of the game. And that's really the gist of the game. There's really not much else to say outside of like that's the core mechanic. There is a town area where you can walk around, and looks like there's going to be some cosmetics in terms of like what your character looks like, what your nameplate looks like, some of the stickers that you get to give to other people at the end of each game. There's also going to be different poses and stuff you can do as you're loading up the game. And this seems to be a very grind-like experience, just like in Splatoon. I'm sure they're going to add some sort of competitive or ranked mode. They'll probably have unique weekly challenges or unique weekly goals that allow you to get more experience faster. And that's really it. I guess the last thing I'll say, the big deviation between this and Splatoon is that I think this game may be more accessible to others because the controls seem to be a little better. But they do offer like a kids mode in this essentially that basically helps you aim. You can use gyroscopic aiming. So I think, I don't know who this is really marketed to. I mean, I feel like I think anybody's going to play this game who obviously wants to, but I'm trying to think like who is really like the target audience for this. And I feel like it's catered more towards younger children, but you know as well as I do that it's going to be more mature gamers who drive the content and keep the player count alive. So I'm curious as this game evolves if you're going to very quickly find, adults playing against kids, and it's like, oh, how many little kids are on my team? Well, we're going to lose. Versus like, oh, how many little kids are on your team? Oh, you have a little better chance of maybe, victory or whatever. And I think that's my thought is when you have games like this that are very one-dimensional, and they're done well. Like I said, it's a gorgeous game. It's beautiful. It runs very, very well. But when you have these one-dimensional games and you're kind of trying to, figure out what the longevity of this will look like, when you're trying to figure out like, okay, do you see yourself playing a game like this in a year in the sea of all the other things that are out there? It's going to be very hard for Square Enix to keep this excitement and this momentum alive. I know they have a lot of game modes that they're working on. I know that they're still continuing to refine it. Obviously, this is only a demo. This isn't the full experience, although I'm going to say based on what I saw, this is most likely the final product. But, in 6 months from now, when you're doing the same small thing, does this have legs to survive? And I don't know that answer. Splatoon clearly did. Splatoon is still a very, very popular game, even after the multiple iterations that have come out for it on Nintendo. I think that's kind of the gold standard. Maybe they need to follow that formula of having tons and tons of different events and everything to keep the gameplay going. I don't know. But if you're interested, it is available to check out right now on PlayStation Plus. I think this specific build is going to be available for maybe 2 weeks total. And then I guess they're going to go back and potentially refine, most likely just polish, because I think the game's pretty much done at this point. And then we'll wait for the big release. But if you like this kind of stuff, I mean, you've seen what it's about. It's pretty self-explanatory. And you were looking for something different, I do say check it out. That's it. Those are my thoughts on Foam Stars. I guess I should give credit that they are trying new things, even if they're not always for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.